Hi, my name is Katrina Cruz, and this is my presentation on Desmos. When I was looking for what I would use possibly in the classroom as a math teacher, a friend of mine who was a math teacher at Harrisburg High School insisted that I needed to check out Desmos, and I'm really glad she did because this is something I could see myself using quite a lot. Desmos was created in 2007 by Eli Luberoff. He was a student at Yale at the time, and he and some other students got talking about the future of education and technology, and it was their supposition that in the future every student would have a web browser handy and in front of them at all times in the classroom. And so they needed to cater to that they could give them a graphing calculator that was the size of a computer screen rather than just the size of a small little TI-83 screen. And so he actually took a year off of school to start working on this graphing calculator browser, this website. And then he went back to Yale. He finished with honors and he opened his company of Desmos. That was many years ago, but it's only been in the last couple of years that they have moved into education in a fuller aspect, where they've started creating lessons and creating an interactive portal and just a really neat interface. In fact, they even hired somebody called their CAO, their Chief Academic Officer, which is so cool, and it's who I want to be when I grow up. Anyhow, from the very beginning, Desmos has always been free because they have partnered with academic publishers to make this available for the classroom. So it's a neat all the way around website and capabilities. Just quickly looking at their beginnings, this is what the Desmos graphing calculator looks like currently today, but this is what they started with, was just the graphing calculator, and where you'd be able to go type into number 1 here, x or y equals x, and you'd get a line going straight up to the origin here, or any kind of formula. It also has the ability to look at examples that they've created for educational purposes. So for example, this parabolas in standard form, if we were to click on that, we would get something that looks like this. And they would tell you what formula a parabola is made up of, and then they would say, A, B, and C are variables that impact what a parabola looks like, whether it faces upwards or downwards, or is wide or it's skinny, if it's on the origin of 0, 0, if it goes off, and a student is able to grab these sliders and see the impact in real time of the parabola getting skinnier, getting wider, flipping over, and they understand, then they can make that very real connection about how it's impacted. I think it's a very, very cool site, and I intend to spend more time there because I'm a math nerd. Now, if you were to go to www.teacher.desmos.com, you would come up with something very similar to this. And we're going to dive into the website in just a moment, but I would love to show you a video from YouTube that kind of explains an overview of their website. I have listed the link below. All right, so that was our intro. I'm hoping that you got sound on that, but it does say that it doesn't do sound from the computer. So if you didn't, then there's the link right there, and I'll also put it in with my homework assignment. Here is Switching gears, we're going to look at what you might hand out to a student to kind of introduce them to Desmos, a step-by-step walkthrough of what they're going to see. So here I would tell the student, go to student.desmos.com and use a class code to join our class. Very similar. We use that on Flipgrid and other things like that, just a way to get them into the same place. This is what they would see next, and you could encourage them to continue without signing in. Or if you want them to be able to take this home and finish it, if it's going to become homework, then I would encourage signing in with Google or making an account with Desmos, just so that they don't lose that connection with that login time. Next, they're going to ask for your first and last name. Put that in so that I can see that in the class when it pops up. And number 4, it takes you straight into the activities. This one, it's on number 1 of 24 for marble slides lines. And the very first one is just introducing you to the activity. So I say use the blue arrow on the top middle to advance to the next activity. So after they've hit launch, after they've seen their marbles go down through the funnel, they'll understand kind of the concept. The marbles are supposed to hit those stars. And then I say on the second one, on activity 2, the instructions state that you need to change one number. Remember that this does not need to be a whole number or only a positive number. By changing that 1 to a -2.5 and hitting launch, the marbles will hit all of the stars. Continue through the rest of the examples in the same way. So the first one is kind of a gimme from me. I'm showing them how it works. Now I want to jump over to the actual website and show you what that looks like from the teacher's end of things. So we go into the Desmos or teacher.desmos.com. We log in. They allow you to log in with a Google account, or you can create one through Desmos. And then here's the screen that you're going to see right away, an activity pick of the week. So if they've got something new, or if they have something they just want to highlight, featured activities, or you could come over here, your most popular. You could search for something, anything you've got bookmarked. It does have the ability to create custom activities, and I haven't done that yet because they've got so many cool things as it is, but it does look like they've got a neat ability for you to be able to do that content building. Also down here, they've got bundles, and these bundles are really cool because I just quickly looking at them, if you were to pull something up like this, the quadratic bundle, it has 8 different activities, and they put them in order from kind of easy to next to next. They're building the foundation for quadratics. So the first is just, why do we need it? They don't even talk about formulas in this activity. It's just explaining what it looks like. And then, what are important features? What words describe the features? They usually have a vocab lesson in these bundles, so that we're using the right vocabulary with mathematics. So I think that's really a neat thing, is their bundles. But I want to go over here to my bookmarked activities, and I've got this one, marble slides and lines. This is what the teacher is going to see when they walk in. They're going to have a quick description. They're going to have a create class code, and when you create a class code, one's going to pop up down here that you can give to your students. And then they also have the student preview, and each one of these is what the student's going to see when they get in there. So look at this one. It says fix it number 1, and we already talked about how that's going to be that -2.5. Well, never mind. X minus 2.5. There you go. And then we launch. So as a teacher, I'm able to go ahead and try everything that the student's going to be able to do. And they also have tips for teachers down here and encourage them to change one number. And it actually gives you what the answer could be to solve that. So they kind of walk you through that too. One other thing I want to show you before we get to the dashboard is they've got this teacher guide. And as you click into it, it again gives you the basic description of the activity you're going to be doing in this delightful and challenging activity. Yeah, that's pretty good. You can write down the class code that you've already created, and then you can go ahead and go through the activity checklist. This is what the teacher needs to do before you even show it to the students. Complete the activity using the student preview. Identify your learning targets. Determine the screens where you'll bring the class together using pacing and pause, and I'll show you that in just a few moments. So then you write out, what do I want my students to gain from this? When exactly in all these screens am I going to pull the class together? And then it goes screen by screen. Do you have notes for this? Number 2, this screen. Here's some tips. Here's a sample answer for it. Any notes that you want to put on here. What I love about this teacher guide is it's built to be handed over to a substitute. If you were going to be gone for the day, you could hand this to them and it would take the whole classroom. They would be fully stocked, ready to go. It's fantastic. So we have that teacher guide. Now I've set up several classrooms here, but this one's got 4 students in it. Let's see how those students are doing. So we view our dashboard, and the first thing that's going to pop up when we view a dashboard is going to be a big sign to all the students saying, "Hi, go to this website, type in our class code, join us," right there. So every single time you go in, and if you click out of that too fast, our class code is still going to be right up there. So as students join, they're going to pop up in here. You can see this is their real names, if John Doe is a real name. And but say you're doing an activity where you're going to randomly combine the students in groups and you don't maybe want them to know who they're going to be partnering with. Or say you're going to be asking them to make a lot of predictions. And, you know, some kids get embarrassed putting their ideas out there. You could go ahead and anonymize it. So now they've all got silly names. And if I were to open up a student's portal, their name has been changed too, to a silly name. So they know which one they are. They're Sophus Lie. Okay? Or we could unanonymize it. So later when they're gone, I could take that off and I could see exactly how each of my students did. So this shows each one of the screens that they're going to be going through, how far they've gotten through them, if they've answered them, if they've just skipped through them, or if they just looked, those kind of things. We have the ability, like I said, to pace and deposit. So pacing is, say we got to, the point where we're at number 7 where it says predict what's going to happen and then verify. What if we want to talk in between there with all of our students about what we predicted? So we're going to go ahead and say we're going to go from 1 to 7 and we're going to stop there. So then if we go to our student, look at this, 6 to 7, they can't go any further. That's where they're stopped. Okay. What if you need to bring the class back together to talk and they're too busy doing the activity to pay attention? We can just pause them all. And this is what's going to show up on their screen. Your activity has been paused. Pay attention to the teacher. I kind of like those classroom management things that they've added in there. They're kind of a neat aspect to it. Other things that they've given us, as a teacher, we can look at it this way. We can go ahead and say, okay, let's look at one of these. Number 6. Look at, this is what these 3 different people did. We can overlay them, see, you know, some different ways that came out of this. Or if we say, hey, look at what Katrina did to have an interesting way to solve this. Let's go look at hers. It's a nice way to highlight the work that they've done and bring that out in front of the class. And then we can also, if we want to work on one together, we can just go to the student view and I could say, okay, I can see you guys are struggling a little bit with this one. What can we do together? And we can work on it together. So I really like their capabilities with that. I love that this doesn't just shut down when you're done with the class, that you can go back in and see what students are doing. I think that's a pretty good overview of the website. I just want to go back and hit on this last. After looking at Desmos, I can see so many uses in the classroom. I'm very excited to use it, actually. I will be teaching geometry at Washington High School for about 10 weeks this fall, and I can see using this in the classroom a lot. But the things I like about it are the bundles, that there's not just one lesson on quadratics, but there's 8, and I can go and choose 1 or 2 that really fit what seem to be the needs in my classroom at the time. I can plan a fully interactive lesson. My students are going to be playing with each other. They're going to be offering solutions. There are actually activities where they can create their own activity and then share it with the class and have the other people in the classroom try it. They've got so many different interactive methods there. I also love that we can follow up on their knowledge base and see, you know, are they getting it? Which students are kind of guessing, which ones are not getting it. And mostly I love that it really is fun. For those of us who love math, it's really fun. But while they're having fun, they're also increasing their comprehension. And I think that makes it an incredibly valuable tool. So I'm very excited that this assignment was given because it introduced me to a tool that I was unaware of and am very excited about. Thanks.